Hey, welcome back to another video where we make characters from Dungeon Meshi in Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remaster. The next Crack and Week video is coming, I promise. It's on its way very soon, but for now, these are largely simpler to make. I don't have to create a whole dungeon and then make a whole video explaining it. I can do it all at once, and so that's what we're going with. Today we are doing Marcille the Mage. It's going to be cool, it's going to be quite different. We're going to do combat with her, but also with Lias at the same time, because that makes sense. It's going to be interesting, should be fun. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So we are next looking at Marcille, or Marcille the Mage, who is the wizard kind of the party, from a TTRPG sort of perspective. Marcille Donato, I'm not quite sure if that's how it's pronounced, but there we go. Same reason before as to why that keeps popping up. Now, I was under the impression, and it may have been something I just missed, that Marcille was an elf, but she's actually not. She's a half-elf and half-Torman, which means her ancestry remains human, but her heritage changes. In Pathfinder 2nd Edition, half-elves and half-orcs are not species or ancestries, they are heritages. Ayuvaran is elf or other Ayuvarans in your family tree, and Dromar is orc strength. So we're going to click on Ayuvaran for this, which gives you low light vision. When you gain your ancestry feats, you can choose from Ayuvaran, elf, or Torment feats. So we're going to go with that one there. As we know, human grants 8 hit points, medium size, 25 feet movement, languages as per, and 2 ability boosts. 8 hit points is fairly hardy for wizard, and you know, having this thing means hit points come from there, means even if you are making a wizard like we are, you can still be a bit harder than you might expect. Now, backgrounds for Marcille. I was looking for some kind of like, you know, ex-student kind of thing, and I did find a student of magic one. However, that's if you are still learning magic, and this is kind of in your off time between terms almost, or part of your studies, which this isn't quite. Marcille has completed her studies and is now out in the world, from what I understand anyway, trying to learn more about dungeons to make, you know, the perfect dungeon to be useful. Which to me I think fits more along with the lines of Scholar Arcana. You know, sequestering yourself away from the outside world to learn all you could, which you just kind of do, but eventually obviously she has to go out and find these things for herself to learn more about them. So we're going to go with Scholar of Arcana here, which gives her 2 attribute boosts. One must be Intelligence Wisdom, which will of course take us Intelligence, and a free one, and can be trained in a skill of your choice, and you gain the Assurance feat in that skill, and trained in Academia Law. We're going to take Arcana for this, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So, finally, class, we are going with Wizard. This is remastered, of course. The key ability, naturally, is Intelligence. Hit points are 6 plus Con, classic Wizard stuff. Trained in Perception, trained in Reflex and Fortitude, but they are expert in Will, as you'd expect. They have Arcana, which obviously we are going to potentially double up on. I might let them choose a different one there if they've already got it. Obviously, for reasons. Trained in simple and armed attacks, untrained in all armor, she points that out, but trained in armor defense, so you're not super squishy with your AC. If you've got decent decks, you can do alright. Trained in wizard class, of course, and trained in spell attacks and the spell DC. And they also get skills equal to 2 plus intelligence, and then intelligence plus high, so decent amount of skills. So that's what we're going with. Naturally, mostly what wizards get at level 1 is their spell casting, which gives them all sorts of feats and things. Set abilities for Marcille. At this point, obviously, ancestry boosts, we are starting with Intelligence and with Dexterity. She's a very smart individual. She certainly isn't always the most dexterous, but she's pretty good at avoiding things and is pretty light on her feet, so I think Dexterity works. And we're going to give her Intelligence and Charisma for the background boosts, because whilst she is not always necessarily the most charismatic of people, she can be quite scary and intimidating, and she is quite good with people we see in the flashbacks, and she connects with people quite well in a way that, say, Laios or Fallon don't quite so much do. Her class boost, of course, in this instance is just intelligence, and then we have our 4 free boosts, where we're going to put 1 into con, 1 more into dex and into intelligence, and we are going to put 1 in wisdom. She often makes rash decisions which aren't too wise, but some of the skills like medicine and nature, which she definitely knows things about, do come from wisdom, so she's got a bit of it. Next up, we've got a heritage already, so we're going to do skill training. We're going to give her crafting. She definitely knows how to create some items. We see her do that in the show. Intimidation, again, not used too much, but she does use it a little bit now and then. We've already got academia law for her. We're going to add nature and occultism. And we're going to add her a law, again, similar to Laios. This is not realistically a real law that you'd have in the main game, which is dungeon law. And we're going to give her that. And we're also going to give her medicine, as you see there. And then the extra one over here, we are going to go with... obviously, Arcana's already been taken. Because of the assurance, but she has got assurance there, which means we can just choose a different skill instead, so that works in our favour, in which case we are going to go with stealth, because she is not awful at sneaking when she needs to. We see her like navigate around the cockatrice and stuff like that. Again, as a half elf, can be learned her feet. She's also quite clumsy, but she can be quiet when she needs to be. For her ancestry feat, like we said before, we have a whole bunch here. A lot of the elf ones really do not apply to to Marcille. She's already got plenty of spells, we don't need more cantrips. She's not super old. Devil's Advocate doesn't really work. Elven Law is info about elves, she doesn't really have that. Forlorn is watching lots of people die, she doesn't really have that, at least I don't think she does from where I am in the story. So what we're actually going to go with is a human one, or torment one in this case, I suppose, which is natural ambition, which, because she's a very ambitious person, you know, it gives you another first level class feat for your class. You must meet the prerequisites, and you can set the fee later in the education process to determine which prerequisites you meet. But we're going to go with that right now. And go with Spellbook Prodigy, which you have to be trained in Arcana for, and it makes magical shorthand. You get the magical shorthand skill feat just for free, and when you roll a critical failure on a check to learn a spell, you get a failure instead. Obviously, we don't really see them learning spells quite as much in the in Dungeon Meshi, but safe to say she has to learn the spells, and she's a pretty good learner. So that's what we're going with. Arcane School, next up. Now they changed these in the remaster because they used to be like they are in 5th edition, which is just the schools of magic, but we've got to be separate from that now, so we've got a bit different. Ars Grammatica is runes, words, numbers, letters, the foundations of magic, and that kind of stuff. So it's glyphs and runic stuff and things like that. Battle magic is obviously for combat, for fighting. Quite a lot of fire stuff based in there, which, you know, would kind of fit Marcille. However, civic wizardry is what we're likely going to go with, because again, she's learning about what to do to make a dungeon, a safe dungeon. So it feels like this is mostly the one that she would be about, though obviously she does have that fire and explosion magic. Obviously the rest of these, you know, mentalism is mind, protean form is manipulation of the form, unified magical theory is a bit of everything, and boundary is the boundary between life and death, summoning undead and stuff like that. But we're going to go civic wizardry. And then finally we have the arcane thesis, which knows to do spell shape or familiars, blend spells, change spells out. But she is a staff called Ambrosia within the show, and so we are going to use that in this instance, which gives her a staff at level 1, which she can put and kind of store a cantrip separate from her main spells and a spell in. And as you level up, this makes more sense because of how the charges work. But yeah, that's what she's got. That is Marcille, so you can see she's ended up with an AC of 15 and 15 hit points. No strength, +2 into dex, +1 in con, +4 in intelligence, and +1 in wisdom and charisma. Speed is standard at 25 feet. She's got spellcasting, she has a spell book, she has low light vision, she has arcane bond and drain bonded item. What this is you can choose at the start of a day to put some of your magical power into a bonded item, which will likely be her staff, Ambrosia. And then as a once per day action, I can't remember if this is the free action symbol or not, but what you can do essentially is you can use this bonded item, you can drain that energy from it to cast a spell that you've already cast once, as long as you're still with the spell's requirements and so on. So it gives you an extra spell charge when you really need it, essentially, which is kind of cool. She also gets the 3 feet of assurance. What this means is you can perform basic tasks with this skill. Choose a skill you're trained in. You can forego rolling a check. And that skill should instead receive your 10 plus your proficiency bonus automatically in that skill. Which at this level, proficiency bonus is only your level plus your level of training. So trained in Arcana, so it's only going to be a 13 on this skill check. So at this level, that's not super useful when she is already rolling at a +7 for Arcana. It means she'd only need to roll like a 5 or higher to really be beating that. No, it's 6 or higher. But if you really need to just get a 10 for some reason, your DC 10, you could just use Assurance. And as if you go to high levels, you can just, if it's DC 15, you can just say, well, I Assurance that. But usually rolling is going to be the safe option, but this is more assured. And Magical Shorthand, learning spells is easier for you. It takes you less time to learn new spells and such like. This isn't going to probably come up too much, but it felt like the most appropriate thing for Marcille at the time. So we're not going to go through the equipment because we have to make that it's a bit more complicated, but she will have obviously her staff Ambrosia and a couple of different bits of gear and kit for helping so make things like soap, like we see her do, and potentially the quote-unquote familiars that she kind of makes later. However, we will do her spells. Spells, wizards know, are in their spell book, like in D&D, and then you choose spells and cantrips at the start of the day. However, the spell slots that you have, you can only cast that spell. You can't cast, anything you want. It can only be that one spell that you can actually cast from that slot. And so you've got to be a bit more careful with what you choose. But we're going to start with cantrips. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, plus the one you get from the School of Civic Wizardry, which at level 1 for us is either Prestidigitation or Reader. We're going to go with Prestidigitation. So we're going to go and get Prestidigitation and also learn that. And then in addition to those, we have the other 9 spells. Unless it's 10, but I think it's 9. It's just you get to have this one as a curriculum spell extra. I'll say so in the spell book. Contains 10 arcane cantrips and 5 first rank arcane spells, which you choose from the common spells on the arcane lists. You can also add 2 first rank spells from your curriculum, which are in addition to those 5. So the way I read it at the very least, please correct me in the comments below if I get this wrong, is you get to choose 5 plus your extra 2, and then you need to have Prestidigitation or Read Aura here. But it is in your spell book, so it is still one of the 10 that you have. We're also going to choose daze because she does use kind of dazing magic on people sometimes. Detect magic is always a classic for learning more about your situation. Ignition is a fire spell, so we're going to go with that obviously. Likewise light. Casting light is always a useful thing for inspiration and such like, especially when you've got humans or tall men in your party who can't see, and even if you are a half-elf, that's only low light vision. It's not the same as dark vision, so it still allows you to see better. Message for sending little messages to people. Prestidigitation we already have. Shield for some extra little bits of protection. We know that she does some protection magic. Telekinetic hand is again another useful utility one. Not the kind of thing that we really see Marcille have, but it does make sense that she would have something like that. We will also take Weed Aura, as that is in our list. And finally Void Warp. Not something we massively see her kind of use, but it is a damaging kind of like a void spell, which is kind of undeady, and she does have that, you know, black magic or dark magic, whatever it's called. So that fits there. We will then choose some of the spells to put into cantrips here. Daze, Void Warp, Light. I'm gonna put the ignition into the staff shield, so she won't need that one on here right now. And telekinetic hand, sure. And then for first rank spells that she has, she gets again the 2 from her School of Civic Wizardry, which are first level ones: Hydraulic Push, Pummeling Rubble, or Summon Construct. We're going to go with Hydraulic Push and Summon Construct because we do see her do some stuff with water. But yeah, we're going to take Air Bubble, Breathe Fire, of course. We never see her breathe fire, but she does similar kind of stuff. Force Barrage is very much like Magic Missile. It's another classic. We're using this to show off how things work in Pathfinder as well. So we're going to take that. Then we have Hydraulic Push. Lock, useful one for locking doors and stuff. Makes sense for myself. As does Mending. And then Summon Construct, finally. Because again, we see her kind of create those, what they call familiars, because of course it's just fantasy coded, whereas not like an actual TTRPG thing. So their familiars is more like the kind of construct idea here. So we're going to take those ones. And then I've not actually clicked on a spell to put into the list for now. So for now, let's just go with spells that are going to be just generally useful, which will be Force Barrage, and let's just say Mending. And then your Curriculum spell, which can be again Hydraulic Push or Summon Construct. Construct Summoning we're going to leave alone for now. Summoning, so we'll go for Hydraulic Push to play it safe. So there we go. That is, as of right now, all that we need to do for Marcille. Almost. She does get a focus spell, which is Earthworks, which allows you to move Earth around. Focus spells use a focus pool that you have. She gets this from her School of Civic Wizardry as well. And they are their own separate thing. You get 1 focus point when you have a focus spell, and there are ways to get more later. And you can spend 10 minutes refocusing to get the focus spell back. So, you know, you can kind of use it once in combat, or just use it once and then you spend 10 minutes or so. And you can, I think, do other things while you focus, but you refocus and then you get the spell back, which is cool. And then she's got no rituals as of right now. But there we are, that is Marcille, and now we'll move over to show you a bit of a combat demonstration. Hey, and if you're enjoying the video so far, finding it interesting at all, please, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like down below or subscribing to the channel and all of that stuff. It helps with the algorithm and all of those good things. Really mean a lot to me. So yeah, if you could do those, that'd be great. Thanks. So here we are back again in Foundry VTT with Marcille. Her character is here. You've also got it up on the heads-up display here, and also all the information over on this one as well. There's so many places. It's wonderful. Looking at a character sheet, this is all largely the same. We've got all her tags, the languages. We've given her Draconic, Dwarven, Elven, Halfling. Don't know if her Draconic's got a language, but we've gone with that for now. The other ones all you can figure out. Chthonian is like Abyssal, which again is like another dark language, dark magic-y one, which is why we've gone with that. I've got her Staff Ambrosia in here, which is a staff that obviously only gives her +3 because she's not very strong. But she can two-hand it for more damage, however. She's got a spell book as well, and her Healer's Tools and Alchemist's Toolkit for doing all sorts of magic-y stuff. And then her spells, which are here. So you can see she's got her 6 cantrips in here, and her 3 first level spells. That is, of course, her 5 and 2 with her extra ones from her curriculum. She's got her focus pool here, and then her arcane charges spells down here. which is to say the spells that are in Ambrosia in her spell staff at the moment. I can't call it that, but that's what those two are down there. So that's got one-of-one charges, which can be used to cast Breathe Fire at this time, and she's also got Ignition stored in there. So there we go. We are actually going to remove Summon Construct from there for now and replace it with Force Barrage 2. Because dealing with the summons and constructs is more complicated, so we're not going to do that just yet. But here we have our scenario. Investigating this old mine settlement underground that's long since been abandoned. Laios over there, we're going to keep Laios in the combat. Just going to build out the party. We could show what Marcille can do all by herself, but there's a dangerous game with a single level 1 wizard. And this is obviously more how Pathfinder plays, is the teamwork side of things anyway. He's observing this knocked over cart, and Marcille is looking at this pickaxe, trying to figure out what on earth is going on. But nearby, out of this abandoned cave, comes a cave scorpion, looking to see who is encroaching on its territory. Obviously, this is a bit more rock-like than the scorpions that we see at the start of Dungeon Meshi, but hey, it's still a scorpion, that's still cool. So this is a single creature, so this fight is going to be of moderate difficulty. So let's see how it goes. First of all, this thing is coming out of its home, and she's trying to figure out what on earth's going on, who the people are here. So it's currently being quite cautious, which means it is going to roll stealth for its initiative. The other two are busy in their own world, and they will be rolling perception as normal. So if we check on their character sheets, we will see initiative is set to perception. Initiative is set to perception. However, over here we've got initiative set to perception. We're going to change that to stealth, which gives it a +7, whereas before on perception it's set at a +7. Never mind, but for the purposes of this, we're changing it anyway. So with that, we are going to roll everyone's perception skill. And our party member did not roll well. Our party members did not roll well. This cave scorpion did roll much better, but it did get slightly better. And so our combat begins. The cave scorpion has crept up on the party and gets to act first. Now, what is it going to do? Well, it's going to go for the person who's closest and in its most direct line of sight, which of course is going to be Laios. It has pincers, which have a grab. It's got a stinger, and it has a move speed of 30, according to this, and a climb speed of 15, but that's probably not going to come up. So it's going to spend its first action closing the distance with Laios, which is over here. And then it will likely attack. It's the thing that makes the most sense for it to do. It's going to attack with its stinger first, following up with its pincer, because the pincers have the agile trait, which means they only have a -4 output attack penalty and not a -5, so it's more likely to hit. Would this thing innately know that? Maybe not, but hey. Actually, no, it's not going to do that. It's going to just make a pincer attack, because then it can use its reaction, not action, but its third action to grab Laios after that, if it does manage to successfully hit him. So let's see. An 18 does manage to hit. Laios' AC is only 15 right now, because he's not got his shield up. Obviously, interesting, because that's the same AC as Marcille, because she also is trained in unarmored defense, and she has a very high dex, a higher dex, whereas Laios has lower dex, and is only in light armor, which doesn't give him much more of a bonus. They both gain that same +1. At this point, Laios would likely be in heavy armor, but we're keeping him in this light armor for these early game scenarios. But he'll be up in like half plate or plate by the time we get to the proper party stuff. So he hits with his attack, so he gets to roll his 1d8 +2 damage, which is going to be 7 damage to Laios right off the bat. That is going to hurt. That's a third of his health. And it also is going to grab him. So it says here, as you can see, if used after a strike, the monster attempts to grapple the creature using the body part it attacked with. I feel like I've been running this bit wrong on many creatures for years. I don't mean for years, but for months, because they still have to make the grapple check. They don't get to automatically grab them. So we're learning things here all the time. Obviously, it has its hand free, so it's going to make an athletics check against Laios's fortitude save, and it fails. So even though it does manage to bite him, Laios is pretty strong. He manages to pull away from this cave scorpion attack. Marcille is up next. She rolled slightly better and is a slightly higher perception from her wisdom than Laios does, and so she is up next. She sees Laios is in trouble. However, she doesn't really have healing magic. You know, that's more a Fallon thing. She technically does in the, you know, in the show, in the manga, but not so much here. She could obviously run up and bonk this thing with ambrosia, but right now she doesn't know quite how powerful it is and what it might do. So she is instead going to use ambrosia to cast ignition on it, which is here. It's not in melee, it is a ranged attack roll. She's going to fire an attack with a +7. Rolls a 2, which is going to miss by quite a bit. Unfortunately, she aims out with her weapon, blasts, and does not hit. This is a bit rushed, a bit of a quick reaction for her. With her final action, realizing that she might need to focus a little bit more on aiming at this creature, but trying to not hit Laios, she is going to use her third action to cast Shield, because this is only a 1-action spell, and this is a thing you can do in Pathfinder. If you've got the actions, you can cast multiple spells, as long as you have the actions for it. Most spells are 2 actions, so you often can't do this, but if you have a way that gives you 4 actions for some reason, or you're using a couple of 1-action spells, then you can absolutely do that. So she becomes shielded. What shielded does is it increases her AC by 1, so you can see it's now 16, and also gives her access to the shield block reaction with the magic shield. If she uses that, she then can't use the shield block again for 10 minutes. It's a good plan right now to protect her, because 7 damage is going to hurt her with her 15 hit points, quite a bit more than it's going to hurt Laios. Now Laios is surprised. He was not expecting this. And has to spend his first action actually unsheathing his sword, which is just his long sword at the moment. He does not have Kensuke yet. And so he will do so. His second action, he is going to raise his shield, because he doesn't want to deal with another attack like that again and not be able to protect himself from it at all. And his final attack, he will attack with his longsword. And that's a miss. This is unfortunate. These guys are not rolling very well today. We're going to re-roll this for the purposes of, you know, showing a more succinct combat where not everything is going wrong all the time. There we go, that's much better. That is nearly a crit, but it's not, it is just a hit. He swings down with the longsword, crashing into the cave scorpion for 6 points of damage, which it takes. The cave scorpion does not have any resistances or immunities, so it just takes this damage. The cave scorpion is up next. It failed to grab Laios, who has now attacked it. It is going to attempt to strike at him again, but this time with his stinger. A 20 is still very much going to beat the AC, so it rolls its damage, which is another 7. Laios does not want to be taking that much damage from these things if he can help it, so he is going to block that damage. That's the wrong way around. That was very silly, because of course Cave Scorpion is not raise his shield. He's going to block the damage. He blocks 3 of it. 4 gets through, which means you can also see his shield's HP has been reduced now from 12 to 8. If it gets to 6, it will become broken and he won't be able to use it as effectively. That's his first action. However, Laios also needs to make himself a fortitude save against this thing's poison. The 19 will do that. And so he is not poisoned, which is good, because that would have been very dangerous. This thing, however, is not done. It has 2 more actions remaining. It's going to try its old tactic again of using its pincer. But this time it does miss with that. This is, however, just a creature. It's not, that smart. It's just going to keep attacking those which are attacking its territory. It swings and misses again. We're not dealing with crits in any more complicated way there, so we're going to leave that as is. Marcille is up next. The effect of shield ends. That was just precautionary, but good to know all the same. Now, Marcille looks across her spells. She does have mending over here, as you can see, which would be useful to fix the shield. However, yeah, that takes 10 minutes, so she really can't do that right now. And she needs some consistent damage on this thing at this time. So she is instead going to cast a spell that she knows will work on it, which is going to be Force Barrage. She's going to use all 3 actions to do that. And this is magic missiles. These will automatically hit. Yes, so I've got to just click that 3 times, I guess. For all 3 darts. Oh, all against Laios. Whoops, no, not against Laios, against this guy. He is going to take a total of 11 points of damage from that, which, plus the damage that had already been dealt with by Laios, is going to kill this thing. However, before they have a moment to pause, they do hear the sounds. That sounds like there is another one about to come out from the cave mouth. And Marcille has used one of her more powerful spells there, because Force Barrage does force damage and just immediately hits a creature. It's pretty cool like that. And yeah, you combine the damage before applying bonuses to penalties to damage and stuff like that as well. So it's very useful. It's a very good spell against creatures like this. But there is another one coming, and that's been her turn. Now Laios is up next. He's somewhat hurt. He's not loving that. He's going to spend his first action recalling knowledge on these cave scorpions to try and see what he can think about them. I don't know why I'm doing it from there when I can do it in the actions. He's going to recall knowledge. And make a recall knowledge check, which of course he's going to use his Dungeon Monsters roll for. Didn't get a combat assessment with a critical hit, and he gets a 9, unfortunately. So he's not got a great idea about what they should do against these things. But he is going to make sure that he stays back a bit, because these things. No, he's not actually. He's gonna move around to here, actually, and he's gonna take cover, so that this thing is gonna have a harder time trying to attack him. So take cover is if you are prone. I believe apply effect, but no, that's cool. That is standard cover. Take cover is if you are benefiting from cover or a near feature that provides you to take cover or are prone. You press yourself against it or duck behind it, and it gives you a +4 bonus to AC, to reflex saves against area effects, and to stealth checks to hide or sneak, or otherwise avoid detection. And now this thing obviously knows that they are there, and allows them to move out of the cunt space. But yeah, that being said, as this thing comes out, we're at the start of the next round, so this scorpion needs to be added to the initiative and roll its initiative. And it gets a 20, not natural, but a 20, so it is indeed going first. And it's going to see Marcille first of all and beeline for her. Now this is going to be 1, 2. That's 5 feet. That's 10, 15. That's 20, because hexes work weird in Pathfinder, I believe. 25, 30. 35, 40. Okay, that says 15, so it's at the very least this is 2 actions for it to move this far. And it's going to spend its final action attacking her with its stinger. So stinger has the poison, and that's what it likes to use. And that is going to hit Marcille for 1d6 plus 2 damage. 4 damage. 4 on the dice plus 2 is 6 damage. And she needs to make a fortitude save as well, which she is not as good as Laios at. And that is a fail. Not quite a crit, thankfully. There's a crit, a fail. So she has now got stage 1 poison. Which is another 4 damage. They need to get this thing sorted pretty quick. So, that was the Cave Scorpion's turn. The other one is dead. Marcille is up next. She is pretty badly injured now. She did not have a shield up. She was not expecting the next one. And so she is going to spend her first action actually retreating back over here. She's going to back up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just back up towards Laios. This thing does not have any reactions. It can't attack. She's going to spend her free action in this instance to drain her bonded item, her staff, so that she can blast this thing next turn for a whole bunch more damage. But in the meantime, we'll level Ambrosia at it and once again try to blast it with ignition at range. And nearly hits it, but this thing just manages to scramble out of the way just in time. However, this does give Laios a chance to charge the creature. But he's not going to do that. He's actually going to stay in cover where he is right now. He's close to the creature. He is going to spend an action to raise his shield. And then he is going to spend a further 2 actions to ready. Which is you spend 2 actions and you choose a single action or free action you can use and designate the trigger. The trigger is the creature comes into range of him attacking it with melee. This way he does not waste actions going over to it. Cave Scorpion is up next, and it is going to indeed move towards Laios, which we can now see. He can now strike it, and he will do so. And again, we are not having this. We are rolling so many poor rolls, and I don't want the combat to drag on longer than it needs to. That's even worse. And that's a natural 20, never mind. Okay, well we're going to see what this damage is, but if it's so high that this thing immediately dies, we're going to... It's not. It takes 10 points of damage from this sudden lunge, which takes it down to half health, but it is still alive, and it can attack Laios. And it's going to go for him with the pincer, which is still a hit, because his cover is not benefiting him. Because his shield is the same thing. Circumstance bonus to AC. Yeah, because they are both giving a circumstance bonus to AC, which I forgot about, which does not work. So they're both making it 17, which means that is going to hit him for another d8 plus 2 damage. 9 damage is a lot of damage. He's only got 10 hit points left. That's not good. So he is going to shield block, which is going to break the shield. He had raised the shield. I am all over the place right now. He raised the shield because it doesn't give him more IC, but it does mean that he can use shield block. So he is working through the damage. The shield is also damaged, and you can see now the shield is on 2 hit points. It's not quite broken, but it can't be used anymore, because it is very damaged. That's a 6. And this thing is going to spend its final action, attempting once again to grapple Laios. And it is successful this time. It does manage to grapple him. And Laios does become grabbed. That's this thing's turn. But now Marcille has drained her weapon. That's why I was being issued. She has drained her weapon, which means that she is able to gain this spell back, if I understand it correctly, cast it again, and blast it. For 3 more sets of damage, which is going to do a total of exactly 10 damage. The other skeleton goes down. And with that, they have successfully defeated the skeletons, the scorpions. 2 of them made that an extreme encounter. That was not easy. That was getting a bit dangerous, especially with the amount of misses that we were having. So that is why we got a couple there, because the scorpions were rolling fairly well, and the party was rolling a little bit less so. But yeah, the combat is over. Scorpions are dead. We're on the scene where they, cook scorpions and meat senshi. I guess that kind of works, actually. Laios is obviously no longer grabbed, which meant he wouldn't have been able to move of his own volition and get out of cover. But it also means that Marcille can use her spell Mending to allow her to restore 5 hit points, her spell rank to the target, potentially removing the broken condition if this applies it past the broken threshold, which it will. She casts it at first level, obviously, because you use first level spells right now, which means that the shield is going to go back up to 7 hit points, which is no longer broken. It's only got 1 hit in it, but hey, that's still pretty good. And there we are, and then they can now continue to explore, though they might want to do it carefully because they did take a few hits there. But for now, that is the end of the combat demonstration. Yeah, so there we are. That is our second character, Marcille the Mage, or the Wizard in this case, I suppose. Quite a different style of character, obviously, with spells and magic. Very different style of using them in combat and outside of combat to what we have with Laios. But the two, clearly, working hand in hand. You've got frontline and backline. So that's all for this one. Next time, I'm not sure who we can look at next. Maybe Chilchuk, or maybe we'll go back a little bit and do Fallon. Fallon's interesting because she's very clearly like another mage from the perspective of the creator, but we'd understand her more as like a cleric kind of person. So, going to find something that kind of toes the line between the two of those. Be very interesting, I'm sure. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you see when that comes up, which should be hopefully in a few weeks or so. Along with other videos like weekend one-shots, more parts on the Kraken dungeon, the Dark Souls dungeon, and other bits and pieces here and there. But that's all for now. Thank you very much if you made it this far, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.